Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, and welcome finally to the F1 2004 career mode. Yes, the series is finally returning this weekend here from the Italian Grand Prix. Of course, Formula 1, we've just come out of the summer break, and I decided I would have my own summer break inside this game. Honestly, I don't really know kind of what's going on with this series. Unfortunately, the mod has just become more and more difficult to kind of work with, and seemingly we're getting more and more issues with it as we get further and further down this career mode. But I finally got back onto it today. I spent a bit of time trying to fix some stuff behind the scenes, and I'm hoping, of course, we can try and smash out these final 4 races of 2004. For those of you that do genuinely love this series as well, I do apologise. I know there is kind of like a small group of you that really do love this championship as well. So I want to do it for you guys as well, just to try and finish off. But of course, yeah, if you missed out on the last video that went live from Belgium, go back, check it out. It was a little while ago now, but it was a rather fascinating one, of course, featuring a last lap battle between myself and Michael Schumacher. But we did manage to claim the podium position, which means at the top of the championship now, we have a 36-point lead over Ralph, and a 40-point lead over Michael Schumacher there. But that being said, Anthony Davidson, Zolt Baumgartner tied on 121 points apiece as well. BAR have looked very, very competitive. They scored a dominant 1-2 last time out. BAR, I mean, they've won 3 of the last 5 races this season. I haven't won since Montreal, all the way back in Canada, so I can't help but feel that in these final 4 rounds, we are going to be trying to limp this Toyota across the checkered flag. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed to the channel as well. We are trying to hit 150,000 subs. Click the join button if you want early access to these videos as well. But yeah, without further ado, let's return here to the Temple of Speed. Well, heading out then, ready for one-shot qualifying here at the Temple of Speed. I've tried to use practice to, you know, kind of wipe some of the rust off, but I expect BAR are going to be the team to beat once again here as we head into qualifying. Dominant around the Belgian Grand Prix last time out, and normally that's a pretty good sign as to a team's performance as well here, but yeah, I'm hoping, of course, that really now at the moment, with the way the championship is heading with 4 races to go, it's probably actually ideal for us if BAR are really quick, because it obviously means that Ralph and Michael Schumacher can take less points out of me in the big picture as well there, and that is probably going to be the goal. Like I said, try and limp this championship home. To be completely honest, we've just been very, very consistent, and although this Toyota car has rarely been the fastest this season, we've usually been able to get, you know, good results out of it, solid points week in and week out there. As you can see by the time we get through the exit of the Lesmos at the top of their circuit, we're up to P3. But I mean, look how far behind Davidson we are. That BAR, they have got a rocket ship of an engine in the back of that machine there, and try to keep it planted through Ascari. Of course, you don't get all the runoff that we were used to back in the early 2000s. But imagine being here, listening to these V10s screaming their way around the circuit. Must have been a joy to behold. That's all. We run very, very wide through the final corner. I mean, BAR are in a different league. That is stupid. We will end up 3rd though, so I can't complain. Well, there we go. Anthony Davidson pole position by 0.8 of a second, but unless you've got a Honda engine in the back of your car, we were the closest car to them, 2.3 seconds slower. This is what I mean, just steadily as we've done more and more seasons of this career mode, stuff seems to break more and more, and yeah, BAR will be absolutely dominant around a circuit like this, and then might really struggle around a track like Monaco, so yeah, it's a little bit all over the show towards the end of the campaign. That being said, though, Schumacher down in 7th, disaster for him, but even worse for Ralph, who will end up all the way down in P13 there, slowing the both McLarens, so he needs a good result in the race if he wants to keep his championship on track. But I mean, from us down to Marc Genet, closer than us to Anthony Davidson. I think BAR are going to dominate.
It's time for the Italian Grand Prix once again, here at the beloved and iconic Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. With the lowest downforce and drag of any circuit in the season, expect to see drivers making the most of the slipstream effect here today. With top speeds reaching 215 miles per hour, only a few places can challenge Monza's crown as the fastest circuit in F1. Hard braking zones going into the 3 chicanes make up the majority of the 11 corners on this 3.6-mile circuit. And just in case the slipstream wasn't enough, 2 DRS zones will help encourage some closer action. And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Can we begin by having a chat about Charles Leclerc? Well, they need 4th or better to ensure they stay in contention for the championship. Anything outside that, and their fate is no longer in their hands.
And they can do it for sure, as long as they don't dwell too much on the position. At the end of the day, there's only one way to go racing, and that's to give it everything you've got. Either your best is good enough to stay in the hunt, or it's not. There's no point giving any less than 100%.
Well, I guess all that we can really hope for here early on is that maybe both BARs have a collision down in towards turn 1, but 27 laps ahead of us then here from the Temple of Speed, and I honestly think I'm going to put as much fuel in the tank as I can. For those of you that don't know, kind of again, the weird way this mod works is that by having rich revs, you just get a lot more... Understandably, you get a lot more speed, but it's kind of way more than it ever should be inside the game, so I think, yeah, we're going to try and leave the car in rich as much as we can throughout the entirety of the race. You effectively gain a lot more than you lose by obviously running less fuel and obviously having a lighter car early on in the stint. Ready, though, on the grid here for the Italian Grand Prix, the Temple of Speed. It is both BARs followed up by both Toyotas. It is 5 red lights. That is the lights out, and away we go there as Anthony Davidson struggling to get the power down. Look at Giancarlo Fisichella, obviously home race for our teammate, then trying to get a good start down in towards turn 1. I can sense an opportunity around the outside though. We're going to try and brave it there, down through that first corner, still wheel to wheel with our teammate as Zob Baumgartner moves up into P1. But we will get around the outside of Giancarlo then, and hang on to our 3rd spot at the start, and I think immediately then we might say goodbye to those BARs just up in front. This Fizzy, I've thought about trying to have a look for a move down the inside. I get, obviously, yeah, it's his home Grand Prix. He wants a big result here. He's struggled all year. But, of course, for us, there is a World Championship on the line. And I'm sure Toyota might just remind him of that in the early stages this afternoon as Davidson, following Zolt, of course, tied in the championship, those two. So yeah, those two tied in front of me in the World Championship, so whoever wins this one is going to get a huge swing of momentum in their favour. It looks like Fisichella's made a mistake and allowed Alonso and Michael Schumacher to find a way by a little bit further back. How will this car compare? We did well in qualifying, but I have no idea what mistakes those cars behind made. Already then, those BARs just setting sail out in front, but they are already starting to battle a little bit. Anthony Davidson, I'm sure not best pleased with losing the lead at the start, but yeah, it's just behind me though. Michael Schumacher will now inherit P4 in this race, but yeah, he battling with Alonso has given us a little bit more time. You are allowed to extend the exit of Ascari as well. You're allowed to get away with that, of course, because you used to be able to back in the early 2000s, but yeah, what is going to be the speed over that Ferrari behind? Of course, those two, the championship battle of 2006, were a couple of years early for that. But at the moment, yeah, we're just immediately driving into no man's land as Davidson tries to make a move around the outside in towards turn 1. Will he get it pulled off there? I think Baumgartner again has just been able to get the power down. We've got yellows. That is a car behind us, I believe. It's definitely not one of those BARs in front. No idea who that already is then out of the Grand Prix, but just on lap 3. I mean, it might not be anyone out of the race. Is already having to start considering what we're doing with fuel burn here, because if we keep going as we are, we will get through all 6 laps extra fuel before the end of the race. I've lost 6th gear. I thought I had a gearbox that would stay intact for at least one more weekend, but gonna have to get that swapped out after this race today, ready for those final 3. Should hopefully therefore mean that we don't have any more mechanical issues, but that is annoying. Luckily, these engines, of course, so much power in them. And obviously, with a gear like 6th, you don't really use it through any of the corners, so we can just put it up into rich revs again, and then try and rev it out as best as we can, and we don't lose too much. Oh, we got yellows out, we got yellows out. Don't tell me it's one of the BARs. Down at the final corners, oh, Baumgartner. Whoa, just parked it on the outside of the circuit, so no idea. I'm guessing he's had a bit of a collision with Anthony Davidson there, but suddenly now, we are up to P2 of this race. I don't know if Zolt has got damage, but I wonder how long I'll be able to keep him back. Well, the good news is 6th gear seems to have come back. The bad news is, 1, I know we'll lose another one pretty soon. I think this whole Grand Prix is just going to be about managing gearboxes. And number 2 is that, yeah, Zolt Baumgartner is still running about a second and a half a lap faster. I'm sure he will not be happy on quite a few occasions this year. Things seem to have gone Anthony Davidson's way. But there we go, new fastest lap. 1.8 seconds clear of anything I can manage. Let's have a look then. Zolt Baumgartner hasn't taken him long before he's closed up to my gearbox once again. And I mean, despite the fact we're using rich revs, that thing is just an absolute torpedo in a straight line. They haven't got a particularly good car through the corners, but how have they got something that is so fast down the straights there? I mean, I would try and defend from him, but there's just going to be no point, is there? He's 2 seconds a lap faster than me. He seems to be able to get the car tucked up through the corners as well quite nicely. But let's just take a look then at this. I mean, I may as well pull over to the left, to the right-hand side and just let him by. But up over 200 miles an hour, and he just breezes through. Confident on the brakes as well. Back a bit of P2. I mean, if BAR get anything other than a 1-2 finish today, that is a huge, huge disappointment there. And I mean, even with a slipstream, he's still just pulling away from me. I think my only saving grace right now is the fact that Schumacher and Montoya seem to be having a battle for the ages a little bit further behind. That they are just costing each other more and more time. What kind of speed can I get on the run back in towards turn 1? We're still tucked up in a bit of a slipstream. But, I mean, he's just pulling away. I haven't even got enough revs in the car to try and close in. Oh, there we go. Anthony Davidson, first car into the pit lane then, and that is a little bit earlier than you would expect to see in this Grand Prix. So maybe BAR are so confident in their speed, they're even willing to do a 2-stop strategy this afternoon. So we're going to be back up into P2 once again. I'm just planning on trying to get to half distance. Obviously, yeah, tyre wear not normally much of a concern around here, unless you're playing F1 25, as Davidson, he will, I think, just about come ahead of those 2 cars behind me, and he's only 10 seconds back. There we go. So both BARs then into the pits rather early in this race. So we are up into the lead of the Grand Prix for the first time today. So I can't imagine they're 2-stopping, but it's not unheard of for the AI in this game. I mean, look at that. Davidson, another new fastest lap of the day. Oh, there we go.
17.2 seconds.
We appear to have lost 2nd gear that time round, and that will be a bit more annoying. Because, of course, yeah, the lower gears in the car longer, much, much longer than the higher gears. So, yeah, that's going to make life a bit tricky. Should only really affect us through that first chicane. I think everywhere else we can leave it in 3rd. But you can see how much the track's ramping up, though. We're still setting personal bests. Well, into the pit lane we will go then at the end of lap 13. We've done a pretty good job just to stretch the stint as far as we have. No risk needed on pit lane entry, as we will relinquish that lead once more to Anthony Davidson then. Zolt Baumgartner will get past us. I'm hoping, though, not optimistic, but I was hoping we could be ahead of Giancarlo Fisichella. It's a nice tidy pit stop then from the team, as there goes Zolt. And I think, yeah, Giancarlo and David Coulthard are probably both going to get the jump on me as we make our way back out onto the circuit then. But yeah, look, Toyota, we look pretty competitive today, though. Better than we have done more recently. As now, of course, we're going to take these tyres to the end of the afternoon. Let's see if we can actually pull off an on-track overtake for the first time since lap 1. Apart from, obviously, Zolt Baumgartner off towards the wall. There we go. Coulthard immediately dives into the pit lane. He can't handle the idea of getting overtaken by one of these Toyota cars. So once again, then, your top 4 on the grid, your top 4 in the running order. Yeah, really surprised by just how much Ferrari have struggled this afternoon. I thought this was going to be a much, much better venue for them. I figured, you know, we might be fighting for 5th, but disastrous qualifying for Ralph. And just lacking race pace for Michael. And then Giancarlo Fisichella will dive into the pit lane at the end of this lap. He's done very, very well, though, early on, and yet then immediately just peeling into the pit lane. It feels like whatever happens in this race, we are just destined not to battle anybody here. Apart from, obviously, Zol Baumgartner getting the jump. But yeah, we're just driving into no man's land, into a wedge in this race. Like I said, I think the only thing we can really hope for in these final 10 laps is that those BARs pit again. But even if they do, I think Davidson will come out ahead of me. I think it's optimistic to believe we could beat Zol Baumgartner, but it's not going to stop me trying. Oh, there we go. Anthony Davidson back into the pit lane then for our race leader, Anthony Davidson. And I mean, imagine now if Zol Baumgartner turned around and just refused to pit late on in the race. But will we get out ahead of our fellow Brit? Or, yeah, I think, honestly, I don't think he's going to come out much ahead of me. But I think he is still going to come out ahead. Just goes to show the dominance of those BAR cars. But it should give us a good idea of roughly how far we should be ahead of Zol Baumgartner. As you can see, Davidson out of the pit lane 5 seconds up the road. So we're going to be about 7 laps ahead of the Hungarian. 7 seconds ahead of the Hungarian by the time he re-emerges. 8 laps, 7 seconds. Normally you'd think that sounds doable. Not convinced today. Well, there we go. Zol Baumgartner into the pits then come the end of lap 19, as once again we have lost a gear. And it appears once again to be one of the lower ones, so hopefully not going to lose too much sleep over that, as we will try and claim a nice slipstream from Mika Salo out of the final corner. And then up back into P2 of this race once again. How long will we stay here, though? That is the all-important question. Is it second? Yep, it's second gear once more that's gone. So, again, shouldn't cause too many concerns. Zol Baumgartner's come back out about 6 seconds behind. Come on! There's so much lap traffic then that we're having to navigate late on in the day. Still setting faster and faster lap times as well. So all the yellows out. I think that might just be Marc Genet getting out of the way of Zol Baumgartner just behind. And yes, Marc Genet is Spanish. I am happy to confirm, but yeah, this could be really, really close towards the end then. 6 laps remaining, including this one. 3.5 seconds. I will defend this if I have to, as we've dropped someone out of the Grand Prix. I believe that is one of the Jordans. There you go. There is that abandoned car of Timo Glock then on the run in towards turn 1. Trying to save myself just a little bit of extra fuel, just so we can afford to leave it in rich if I need to in these last couple of laps. But the other concern is the gearbox. It is up to 76% wear. Now, if they get up to 80, they then can fail at any point inside this game. So we've just got to really manage that. Or late on in the afternoon, you can see just how much we're attacking over the curbs. Everything like that. We are trying to give it everything to deny BAR a 1-2. If push comes to shove, I have got to think about the World Championship, the bigger picture. But I would really like to split them. 3.5 laps to go then. Oh, you really start to feel the dirty air from the cars in front of you. Mark Webber, come on, give me a nice slipstream though, bro. We'll try and follow the Australian as we make our way down the back straight. As we look at that though, getting good speed up behind the Jaguar there. So you've got to try and take the advantages where you can. So I think, have we lost another gear? Yeah, we've lost 4th. Oh, that's much, much worse.
We've lost one of the gears due to a fault.
Our 4th gear is a very, very useful one around this circuit. I mean, the worst one to lose would, of course, be 7th, but really trying to manage it late on then is Olivier Panis now, the next car in front. Try and use all of the available torque we've got out of that final corner. Claim the slipstream from Olivier. As I mean, even then, we're still setting new PBs. I mean, look at that. We're losing time there. We're up on the limiter. But still, whoa, was Panis almost colliding to the back of us there. That might hold up Zol Baumgartner a little bit, as we will immediately give ourselves about a second's worth of breathing room once more away from the Hungarian. Olivier Panis, that was scary, but useful. Well, we seem to be pretty good against the BAR car on the exit of the corners. We have got very, very good traction in this Toyota, as again, trying to close in on Rubens Barrichello now in that second Jaguar. And once again, the AI give me a decent slipstream. But I mean, look at that. Zol Baumgartner flying around the outside there as... Oh, no, we've got into the back of him. Barrichello just moved over across me.
We think you should be okay to continue. It'll cost us a little bit of time, but we're nearly at the end of the race.
Oh, we'll head back out into the circuit there as we actually weave across Barrichello on the way out of the pit lane, but with a 33-second buffer from Michael Schumacher behind, we can just afford to limp this car home. I mean, we were lucky not to go over the top of Zolt Baumgartner there through those first couple of corners. One more lap to go then here from the Temple of Speed. And well, I'll be honest, this wasn't the weekend where I thought that we were going to be able to pull out the gap over Ferrari. I did call it though at the start, the BAR were going to dominate. Admittedly, yeah, on a terrible strategy. Anthony Davidson's still over 20 seconds up the road. Come the final lap, goes to show just how quick that BAR car is in a straight line. But as long as we can keep getting good, consistent results, they will not be a threat come the end of the season. Just too many bad weekends for the BAR team there. But back-to-back 1-2 finishes once again. They are definitely still in the shot for the Constructors' Championship come the end of the year. But consistency, I knew it from the start. Consistency this year was always going to be super important. And on weekends like this, all we can do is maximise the result. And I mean, to be honest, being 30 seconds clear of Schumacher there, super important. You know, he's been unlucky. He's been battling with Montoya throughout a lot of the Grand Prix, but you know, that is kind of by the by there. As through the final corners, it is going to be Anthony Davidson that will walk away victorious here at the Temple of Speed. What a drive it has been for BAR once again though. I mean, absolutely dominant. Controversial contact early on, but since then, never really looked back. Zolt Baumgartner will follow him home in P2, and your top three are going to be exactly the same as they were last weekend. It is going to be another third place finish. We will take the points.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
There it is then, victory in the Italian Grand Prix, an historic race, and an achievement they can be immensely proud of. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Racing Point's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the veterans of the sport. They're making their way out to the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them.
Well, there we are then. Anthony Davidson, Zolt Baumgartner just ahead of myself on the podium. Honestly, if races keep ending up like that by the end of the year, I am not going to complain. Michael Schumacher, he'll be gutted not to get a bigger result for the Tifosi, and especially losing another 3 points in the World Championship. Just ahead, though, of Giancarlo Fisichella, and then McLaren there from 11th and 10th on the grid to 6th and 7th come the checkered flag. A decent recovery for them alongside Ralf Schumacher. Juan Pablo Montoya, Fernando Alonso round out your top 10. So again, it is your big five teams that pick up all of the points here today, and that is exactly what we need. Just Timo Glock, who failed to see the finish. What does that do, though, to our World Championship? Well, it means now our closest rival is once again Michael Schumacher, but with a 43-point buffer and just 3 races to go. If we were to win next weekend, that would be it. Done. Wrapped up. With 2 races to enjoy ourselves at the end of the season. Ralf Schumacher still in 3rd there, just ahead now of Anthony Davidson, who re-jumped Zolt Baumgartner. Alonso still ahead of Montoya, ahead of both McLarens, who are now tied, just 1 point back behind the Colombian. And then still in a very lonely P10, Giancarlo Fisichella there. Button ahead of Wirtz, Barrichello, Jarno Trulli, Mark Webber, Olivier Panis, and of course Mika Salo, with just the Menardes and Glock yet to score. Constructors-wise, Ferrari now only 39 clear of BAR, so we might end up in a rare position where we win the Drivers' Championship, but we're not really in the fight for the Constructors. Still, we've got a 34-point buffer ahead of Williams as well, though, and McLaren not too far behind. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for, I believe, the Japanese Grand Prix.